Welcome to the Marketing Made Great podcast. And I'm excited today because I get to have my special guest, Tyrrell Harrell. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I got it right. Okay. And he's the owner of TYDEF Media Studio or Media Group. Is that correct?
Yes, TYDEF Media Group.
Oh my gosh. And he's right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Tyrrell, welcome to the show. And for those of us in our audience that really might not be familiar with you, will you share with us your journey about how you got into video production and video marketing, as well as some information about your company and some of the services that you offer?
Okay. Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
You're welcome.
So my journey started as a sound guy. I was
I
was always this guy that wanted to make music. I'm a classical trombonist and brass player. So
really,
that was my beginnings in this wonderful, fun world.
Okay.
And I always had the thing. I would always tell my parents, like, I don't want to be a broke musician. How do I not be a broke musician, right?
Sure.
So I got into audio engineering. It was awesome. Of course, producing tons of records. But our program, so I went to Appalachian State University, and in our program, it was not allowed. So you couldn't focus solely on one thing. So we couldn't only do music. We couldn't only do post-production. We couldn't only do Foley. You had to do everything. And that's how I got introduced to the video world, right? And then, I came to Atlanta after college, and I started working in interning in these studios, and I got connected with the studio called Soapbox. And if you're from Atlanta, you would know Soapbox because they used to do all of the TNT LA and like the Cartoon Network spots.
Yep, I know who they are.
So I got an internship with them, came through the ranks of like assisting and getting in the audio side of that, and then they closed. I was like,
okay, well, so let me ask you a question then. You had an interesting start. So when did you realize you had a real passion for video and video production?
Really, I never had a passion for video. It was always supposed to be audio. And after that, they closed. I went to New York and I started audiobooks. Through audiobooks, I got connected with a ton of directors and actors and things of that nature and started working in agencies. And this is when I started realizing that, holy crap, I could be good at this video thing. So it was a very windy road to video. Like I was always a writer, like I was writing, I was directing, I was doing all that, but it was always on the sound angle. And then when I was working at agency up in New York, we were doing mock-ups, and I realized like there was a discrepancy in which companies got the best visuals. And still, so obviously like the big guys, they're all getting the great stuff. But like a lot of the smaller businesses, even if they were still doing 6-figure campaigns, they were not getting nearly the attention that obviously like the big guys were getting through the agency. So it made me think, wow, there's a market there. Like they also need great visuals. And then, I went and literally I bought a camera and just started filming stuff, like filming.
No, that's fine. So what do you think is your biggest frustration with video production or video marketing or anything in that category?
The biggest frustration I would say is, well, there are two. One is the pretty videos because people want beautiful videos, right? Like that's the thing. Like no matter what's in it, they want it to be pretty. The bigger thing I would say is the undervaluing of video content today. So like not everything is so fast moving now that people don't understand that 5 seconds that you do have someone's attention is really your shot to get them to either make a move, take an action, buy something.
Okay. So one of the things I noticed in the notes that you sent me was you were talking about that you really love to help small business and help them to connect with their audience with your kind of consumer first approach.
Yes.
So what is the consumer first approach that you and your company have come up with?
So consumer first means that we take the position of the consumer. So when we work with a business, we ask them who is their ideal customer, right? We always do that.
We all do that, yeah.
But people don't start as customers. So we had to take it a step deeper and say, who are your consumers and what do they want? So your consumers may never buy from you technically, but they are going to share your message with other people. They're going to talk about you. They're going to have some kind of energy or some feeling about you. So we have to think about who that consumer is, who's consuming your content, and go from there before we start talking about customers or sales and conversions and all that other stuff.
So wait a minute. You're talking about not necessarily doing the pretty ads. You're talking about doing ads that convert. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, they convert.
Okay.
We don't traditionally say convert because most people think, somebody saw my commercial, they clicked the link, they went through the funnel, and they became a customer. That's usually what people think of as conversion, right?
Right.
For us, a conversion is we made someone so compelled off of our images or our video that they shared it with another person.
Right.
Because that, for us, that's more important than the actual hit of that one sale, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I always go back to the Dollar Shave Club. Okay. I mean, my gosh, there's a guy that spent $25,000 on his first ad out of the gate and sold out within 2 days of everything he had in his warehouse. But the ad was so different, so compelling, but the message was very, very clear. One of the things that you were talking about too is, audience reliability in marketing. And you were talking about focus groups. So, I've dealt with many a focus group. So how do you think it's evolved over the years?
Well, when I was in New York and in those agencies, we sent everything to Ohio. So we would do 5 mock-ups, send it to Ohio. Whatever Ohio loved, the country would love, right? That's how it worked. But now,
so Ohio was Mecca for the whole United States.
Ohio, if you could convince Ohio of anything, then you could convince the rest of America. It was
gotcha. Okay.
Very eye-opening because I didn't know anything about that side until I got into the agency. So I was like, wow, like we really do like base everything off of like 10 people in a room.
Right.
In the middle of nowhere. Yeah. So, but now you have the ability to get so far outside of that little box, even for a niched company, because everyone talks about being niche right now. Like, you have to find your niche. You have to find your niche. Well, I actually believe, and at the company we believe, that a company can have more than one niche. You don't have to say, okay, Dollar Shave Club, for example. We sell cheap razors that are great. Awesome. They have that niche, but they also have the niche of the guys that actually want a little bit better quality of their blade, or they want a little bit better lather, or some people get really crazy razor bumps, so they need that. Like those are also small niches within your other niche. So being able to ABCD EFG test, and I always say that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
The A/B test. Everybody wants the A/B test, but it's like, no, you have so many segments within that niche that you have to test out, right? And you can do that now. Like you can go on Facebook and put 5, and I know all of the Facebook ad buyers are gonna yell at me, but you can go in and put $500 or $1,000 and like figure out a pattern on whether that niche is going to work or not. Like you don't have to come in and say, okay, you got to put $25,000 on on this one A/B test, and we'll figure it out from there. It's like, no, you can actually do obviously the micro targeting. You can go in there and pick these folks out piece by piece now. Technology is insane. Like we even have, I don't know if this is not professing too much, but we can see literally where people are watching our ads and like find the clusters within a segment or a county or a zip code or a state and just say, okay, so this is it. And now we can go dump $10,000 if you want on an ad.
Right. No, it makes sense. I mean, one of the things that I see some of these bigger agencies do that I think some of these smaller companies are starting to be aware of is they may do a 2-minute ad, but it's created where you can cut 30-second, 60-second, and 15-second segments out of it and turn it into something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the cool part about all that as well. You know, so that's really getting the best bang for your buck, not only, you know, doing it for multiple audiences at the same time, you know. So can you give me an example or two of what you're talking about there? I mean, you made it, you talked about a water company, I believe, or something like that.
Yes. So we actually didn't really do it with the water company. It was, this tactic worked really well actually in this recent election. We used it for a candidate, and we did exactly what you're saying. So we created a 60-second commercial. They were like super bent on having a 60-second commercial that nobody was going to watch all the way through.
Right.
When we wrote the commercial for them, we wrote it in such a way where we had a 5, we had a 15, we had a 10, and we had a 30 that we pulled out of that 60, and we just popped it into each little spot. So that we there was a section she was talking about housing. We sent it to all the people that are trying to buy a house or have a mortgage. You know, if they were talking education, we sent that only to the folks that had kids, instead of like this whole thing where it's covering this whole range and nobody cares. You know, you just pick and choose. And you know, she came from 10 points down to ended up winning her seat.
Oh wow.
Yeah, after,
oh my goodness,
after bringing us in for their video strategy.
So you deliberately put together multiple verticals for her from the budget that she had, and again, that's the best value you can get in working with any kind of vendor. Yep. So what do you think? What's that one or two things that people don't realize about video and its power and what it can do?
I think that most people don't really realize that people want to see themselves in video. It's a bit of why Housewives and like all those reality shows work. It's because people want to be what they see on TV. So if you can give people even the inkling that they can, because, okay, so we'll just take Housewives, for example. These folks they either started in a really great career, like they're a big music star or movie star or something, or they married rich, right? So they had a huge head start, and this is why they're on television. But they show just enough of their foibles in their human side where people are like, oh, like I totally relate to that person. I can totally be that person. I can totally see myself in that situation. And then they fall in love with this one character or two characters, and they're hooked. You know, that's the power of video.
Okay. So with that being said too, what do you think are some of the pitfalls that, you know, maybe keeps a company from even looking at or seriously investing in video? Is it the expense? Is it the creative? They don't see a benefit in it? I mean, why would I even want, as a small business owner, to sit down and talk with you and figure out how video can impact my business? I mean, I would assume you can do it for well under $1 million.
Well under $1 million.
Okay, good.
Unless you're talking about the Senate races, then you have to spend at least.
Well, that's yeah. We don't want to go there. Yeah,
I'm kidding. No. So first, the fear. I think for small businesses, they think that. Well, I don't say they think. We live in a world with 4K, 6K, 8K, 12K, 20,000K camera
Right.
that fit in your hand, and like you run around, and that has caused people to everyone's a videographer now. I don't even know, like, videographers didn't exist 10 years ago, right? Like that wasn't a thing, that wasn't a word, nobody knew what it was. So you have these folks that are running around with their cameras and they're saying, I can do this. And you know, we actually had a one of our Caribbean restaurant clients. It was the hardest thing to convince them to produce a video and run ads with us, because they had been burned 5 times by people trying to create content for them, right? So like that's the biggest fear. They keep getting burned. They're afraid. They don't have money to waste. They're small businesses. And I think I forgot the second half of that question.
Well, no, I mean, based on what you just said, though, it sounds like to me you're spending the time to really understand the customer, their market, budget, what they can invest in, and what their long-term and short-term strategy is. I mean, one of the things I think, you know, most agencies or most companies don't do, no matter what vendor you are, whether it's video or not, is take the time to truly understand the client. And based on what you just said, the reason why you've been so successful with that restaurant, it sounds like you took the time to understand their needs.
Absolutely.
And their clients and their market. So that's, I think, the biggest, you know, one of the biggest takeaways from today is make sure you're working with a professional such as you that's going to ask those questions. You know, it's not just take your money and go. You know, I mean, I see it all the time, you know, in businesses that, you know, I've either had and worked with over the years. You know, the other thing, you had talked about too, was, you know, getting involved in video. There's always some of these hidden pitfalls that are there. And I think part of that is they might not understand the real long-term value of it. And you said too, you know, most people don't like to have their face on a screen.
This is true.
You know, they just hate it, you know, kind of like me. I hate seeing myself and I hate hearing my voice, but I've gotten used to it over the years. My feeling is, and I think you might agree, sometimes you just got to start ugly.
Yep.
You know, and the first time you see yourself, it's so funny. We've got a client right now. The first YouTube video she did was horrible.
Yes.
Her 20th is like, oh my gosh, who is this woman?
Yes.
She's amazing.
Yes.
And sometimes you just got to start ugly, right?
Yeah, you do. Like you have to, because you have to put in the work. What it's like when you're writing music, I'll take it back to music. You hear these hit songs. There are 1,000 terrible songs behind that hit song, right?
Sure.
You have to build that muscle of being in front of a camera, of communicating your message clearly, of being succinct, of being likable. You know, we had one of our education clients, their first video, they were like this, and they were talking, and they were saying all of the words, and you could just see the fear in their eyes. And then by the end, the guy's all here, and his arms all over the place, and he's happy, and it's just night and day. You know, you just have to work that muscle and build that confidence.
Sure. I mean, sometimes they just got to get in front of the camera and go a few times,
and then play back and look at it. Like, oh.
Well, and I think too, a lot of people forget, you know, we can edit this. Okay. You know, and what I like is sometimes, you know, a lot of videos I see on YouTube, you want to stay to the end because the blooper reel at the end is like amazing, you know? So I think that's the thing. People just need to jump in and go for it. Absolutely. You know, and like you said, with today's, you know, phones and everything else, and with the technology from, you know, TikTok to, Facebook Live and all this, you can be a rock star by simply just holding your phone up.
Yes.
And yes, the fear factor is going to be huge, because why would somebody listen to me? You know, and I think people just want your point of view.
Yeah.
Whether it's about your product, your service, or whatever.
Like I always say it, like people sell people. Like that's just how it is, you know?
Right. No, I appreciate that. So we're at the point in our interview that we call it the lightning round.
Oh no. Okay.
I know it sends fear in our guest. Okay. But let me ask you about 4 or 5 questions here.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So what is your favorite commercial, whether video or print, of all time today?
Okay. Favorite commercial of all time. I would say I have to go with the one that just popped into my head when you asked me that immediately.
Sure.
I'm just gonna go with the Orbitz ad with the sparkly teeth, because it's so good. It's like it's the perfect amount of comedy, the perfect amount of just like tension, and then of course the sparkle in the cell. So I love Orbitz ads. I love it.
It's got a quirk in there that just grabs your attention for sure.
Yep.
So what is your worst commercial that you've seen, whether video or print, of all time?
This is a recent one. So with the COVID stuff, Kia ran this ad about like people being hungry and homeless and poor and all this stuff, and like just their selection of imagery, it was so out of touch. Like you could tell that nobody from outside of their Kia bubble was at that table.
Right. It missed the mark completely. No, I get it. So in the years you've been doing this, what is the best campaign that you either did for yourself or for a client that you spent the least amount of money or time on, but got the most amazing results?
Okay. Least amount of time, best
and money.
And money.
Yep.
Woo. Okay. The best with the least. That would have to be, man.
It's all right. Whatever first pops in your brain.
Small businesses, they all have very little money. No. No. Okay. So I won't say that it was the least amount of money, but it was like
that's fine
comparative to who we were going against. So we did have this one mayoral candidate, and they got outspent 3 times. Like I think the guy.
Oh wow!
It was a ton of money, and we took $20,000 to it. With $20,000, we had that to shoot commercials, shoot story, do all the design, buy yard signs, flyers, all that stuff. Like all in, it was $20.
Oh my gosh!
Yes, that's it. And it was a race where all the odds were stacked against him. Like he shouldn't have had a shot. Like he came in when they did the polls, he was like, I think he was like 15 or 20% of the vote. And by the end, he still lost, but he only lost by 159 votes.
Oh my gosh.
We were able to generate with those funds, we were able to generate a organic swell that I'd like never seen before. And
that's cool.
These champions for this guy. And he lost it 51-49, but we changed that town, that one little town.
Changed the whole dynamics of everything.
Yep.
And the way people think. And sometimes it's not necessarily the large amount of money. It's sometimes just the creative that goes with it that's effective. So do you think...
Hold on, Mark, I just need to put this out there. So we just talked about a small campaign. $20,000 is a small amount for a campaign, guys.
Right. Very small.
Don't think that $500 is a small amount for a campaign. That's not an amount for a campaign.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah, you can't do a whole lot in video with 500 unless you've got a great phone and you can do a lot of creative content as well with that. So, do you think TV is dead as
No,
an advertising medium?
absolutely not. Because
Oh,
TV
okay.
changed. So now we have connected TV, which I'm sure you know about connected TV,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So now TV has gotten to the point where we can take a customer and follow them around on all the channels that they watch. So TV isn't dead. I guess traditional TV might be on its last limb, depending
Sure.
on who your demographic is. But actual TV, where there are cable channels or whatever channels, and people are watching
Right.
something, it's not dead.
So do you think that, this controversy between internet TV and cable TV, I see a huge groundswell on internet TV. People are cutting the cord, but also too from an advertising rate, it's pretty doggone amazing the value that you get from placing video ads on internet TV.
It's true.
So,
It's true.
so there's I think a new horizon that's coming.
Yeah.
So,
And please, these channels and these traditional television networks, they did get caught sleeping at first, but they have caught up. It's
yeah,
now costs the same to have internet TV as it does to have cable. After you
right,
get past your 6-month or 3-month trial or whatever, like it
sure,
costs the same. They're still there.
right. Yeah, I always remember when reading an article many years ago that Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix for $50 million and thought that no, 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 no. Everybody wants to come to our store so they can interact with their neighbor. No, wasn't even close.
No, no.
So I'm sure that marketing person is no longer employed anywhere. But anyway, anyway.
Oh,
All right. So let's kind of start winding down a little bit here because I think we've had some great information. So as you look at video, and I know it's changing from 1080p to 4K, 8K, and all this other kind of K. What do you think are one or two of the top new emerging technologies that you're investigating, tracking, and you see as potential for marketing in today's world?
Well, definitely AR, VR.
Okay,
Once, like, I would say
agreed.
personally, our agency isn't in it. But honestly, I'd probably be something where I would go and partner with somebody that does it. Like, that's not my realm. But it's
Right.
definitely going to be an amazing avenue for advertising.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Okay.
and obviously cell phones. Like, we just our cell phones keep getting smarter, the cameras keep getting better, and the
Right.
more people love to just see people in a real place. So I think we
Sure.
just keep taking advantage of that.
Okay. All right. That's great. So, now you're a very intelligent and educated young man. What books, podcasts, blogs, YouTube channels are you listening to or reading and watching for inspiration?
Um, right now, and this is gonna sound weird, but I am not. So I
No, it's okay.
I follow like the Les Browns, the Eric Thomases, Tony Robbins, like all that stuff, right? And then
Right.
I'm always reading books like Scientific Advertising. I don't know if I'm allowed to show it.
Oh wow, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Like I'm always reading like those kind of books from the 60s, 70s, 80s, because it all that science is still the same. The technology has changed, but like the science of
Right.
how humans make decisions hasn't changed. So
Sure.
I'm reading a lot of that stuff. One of the things I saw when I was doing a lot of like consuming of media and like doing ideas is, after a certain point, you have to act, right? Like you said, start ugly. So,
Right.
I spent a good year and a half, 2 years. I mean, the company is 5 years old. I'll
Right.
say before 2022 or 2020, I would spend every day like watching a piece, and learning. Like I would watch at least 1 hour of something a day.
Sure.
And I was Eric Thomas, I believe. He said, all right, you've been sitting here, you've been watching all these videos. Now go out here and do it. So actually for 2020, I've been working on the go out here and do it. And like, of course, I go back to reference things, but you know, this is the do it year. And then 2021, I'm back in the books.
No, I understand. And then of course you're going to be subscribing to the Marketing Made Great podcast. So that's going to be like amazing. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, Barbara's really great. Her podcast. Yeah, I love hers.
Very cool. Okay. Now, if you could, or, you know, who would you like to sit down with and discuss marketing in today's world, and why? They don't have to be alive. They can be dead, but who would you like to sit down and talk about marketing and why?
Bill Gates.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because he, like, look at how immersive his company is. Like, it's
sure.
I mean, look, we all know Apple's winning the culture war, but Microsoft is within everything. That's why he makes so much stinking money.
Right.
So like figuring out how to get my tentacles or my company's tentacles into everything would be awesome to learn from.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So apparently it sounds like you know Bill Gates, so maybe we can set up an interview with him.
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you had to leave today with and give 2 or 3 good digestible nuggets of marketing wisdom to our audience, what would you like to share with them to motivate them, get them excited, or to help them kind of go, needed to think about that?
Okay. Well, first I would say just do it, right? We all know that if you want, like, there's levels of marketing. If you want to stay where you are, you want to spend at least 10% of your revenue on marketing. And it goes up depending on how you want to grow. So just put the money in it, like do it. You're gonna have to do it. It's gonna suck and you're gonna have a couple of L's because marketing is a science. It's not perfect.
Sure.
Just do it. The other nugget would be if you want to soften that blow, and I use this in my other bit, my non-agency business.
Right.
So for our new customers, we always get them to do a video testimonial. So they can just take their phones and do the whole, hey, I love working with blah, blah, blah. This was great. I had a wonderful time. All that. Do that.
Sure.
And like half of your marketing is done for you.
Oh, wow. Good point.
You know, all you have to do is post it.
Yeah, because one of the things I do love about video is you get to see the emotion and the tone and everything and the facial expressions from the people that are in either the ads or, you know, that you're interviewing. Mm-hmm. I think that's huge. So if you had to find one marketing problem that you would love to solve, but have yet to find an answer, what would it be?
How to beat the algorithm.
Okay. All right. So algorithms for everything, right?
For all of
Google
them.
All of it. Okay. All right.
I want to beat them.
I don't know. Is that legal? I don't know.
No, I don't know. I want to hack. They make all these hackers that can do cheats for games and all this other stuff. I want to hack.
Okay. So here's something that is interesting too. I got to ask, and I always ask my guests this, is what can they do right now, whether it's video or anything, to draw attention to their business and help them grow?
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but do a video customer testimonial. Like, let them just record themselves.
Okay. That's perfect. I think that's a great way to at least get started in video.
Yep.
You know, you got to ask your customers, and some of them may not know what to say or do, but hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
and send them a
so that's great.
Like people love to do, especially if they love your brand. people want to do things for you. People want to see you succeed, and you just have to be open to that possibility, you know?
Absolutely. Definitely. So is there anything else that I haven't covered that you would like to share with our audience that may be of interest, or something profound, or, favorite sports team, whatever it may be?
Favorite sports team. I just want to be able to go back to the stadium. So that's
Understood. Understood.
But
But is there anything else you would like to add in what you've said so far that maybe I've missed, or anything?
I don't think so. I think just really just trust your message, trust your brand, and like let the consumer make the decision for you, like, you know who you are. You don't have to go and, like, with the water company, I know we didn't talk about them very much, but
Go ahead.
they had a wonderful product, and they want it to be in a certain arena. When people started to taste their product, drink their product, see their ads, the people that they wanted to, like, shout them out to the world, not really interested. But they had this huge segment over here that has allowed them to, now they've spread throughout the Southeast. They've gone up the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
All mom and pop, like, business. They just introduced their second flavor. It was supposed to be more of a clinical drink. It was like a clinical ugly bottle. They went and they changed their bottle to meet more of the, like, fitness junkie, soccer mom type.
Oh, wow.
Person that love to shout them out. So just be a little flexible. It's not changing who you are, because who they are is a beverage that hydrates you and refreshes you and can help heal you. It's just pivoting to where the people want you.
Well, and sometimes I think you're right. I mean, you've got to be receptive to pivot to your audience, as well as everything from branding to whatever. I always like to think of it as you got to be in beta mode all the time. You never know what's going to show up, and an opportunity, simply changing a label, like you said with the water company, could make all the difference in the world and grow sales. So, Tyrrell, thank you for coming on the show today. This is pretty interesting. These are the kinds of things that keep me up at night. So if people are listening right now, how could they reach out and give you a shout out? Can you give me some of your contact info?
Sure. You can find us at TYDEFvideo.com.
How do you spell that?
TY, D as in David, E as in Eric, F as in Frank, video.com.
Okay.
And you'll find our site there, some of our work. If you want to reach out to me personally, I'm on Twitter at YourGuyTy, because everybody calls me Ty these days now.
Okay.
You can find me there. And then on the site, you'll be able to join our newsletter. So we send out tips about just what we were talking about today, like how you can find your consumer's voice. And
oh, wow.
Okay.
So. Fantastic. I definitely want to make sure I even sign up for that. So Ty, really appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll talk very soon.
All right, Mark. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Talk to you soon.